This episode of RetroBlasting is brought to you by Yojo Outlet and Museum Center. They know vintage toys, and when it comes to vintage toys, knowing is the entire battle. The longest restoration in the history of RetroBlasting is finally over. It has been over 4 years since William sent me his R2-D2 from the UK. Now, the reason that it has taken this long is not laziness, and as you've seen in part 1 and part 2, it's because I literally did not know what I was going to do to get a perfect result from this restoration. It was a vintage R2-D2 from the Meccano Star Wars line. They were the distributors of Star Wars figures in Europe, and he'd had it since he was a child, which adds to the stress, to make sure that you do it right and you don't accidentally destroy it, much like with other toys we've had in the RetroBlasting studio in the past, like the R2-D2 and Juan's Snowspeeder and things of that nature, Matthew's X-Wing fighter. And I said, okay, this R2-D2, if you recall, has no chrome left on its head, no sticker left, the body is yellowed, one leg is broken, and the other leg is warped. So it had every single possible problem you can imagine. And I thought, what do I do first? What are the solutions? How am I going to make this look anything close to the way it was? Especially with the chrome problem, because that was huge. I researched industrial chroming. I researched, factory vac metallizing. I sent the sort of test R2-D2s off to my friend Benjamin in the UK. He tested with silver leaf and all kinds of processes. We were talking with William in the background. This has been a long process, but it has never stopped moving. And I think that's the most important thing to note. And in the waiting, new techniques, new tools came along, which is huge because the toy collectors out there like Toy Polloi, who I can't imagine anybody hasn't seen his channel by now, but if you haven't, go check out Toy Polloi because he's been the great mad scientist in trying to figure out how to fix toys for years now, and you will see some of his techniques and how I described what I did with the R2-D2 for William. The Molotov Chrome pen was barely in existence or known to toy collectors when I received William's R2. So it was a lot of trial and error and a lot of patience and a lot of waiting. And the trick was the trial and error couldn't be error using William's R2 as the guinea pig, which is why I sent all the R2s to Benjamin, doing all this stuff. I really wanted to get this right. And to William's credit, he never once complained. He's never once said, "Where's my toy?" He's never once lost faith in me, and I greatly appreciate that because that is huge. So before I get started, I want to thank the people involved who gave us the result that you're about to see. First, I want to thank Jody Spoor for giving me the advice to try and use the hydrogen peroxide vapors to de-yellow the R2 body. Now, unfortunately, that technique didn't get the results that I'd been hoping for. It might be because we haven't had enough sunlight here in Atlanta for months now. But I tried it. I appreciate everybody caring about this project, and Jody is definitely no exception. I want to thank Kevin Sexton because Kevin Sexton gave me the solution for getting the blue panels back on the dome. He talked to me about the Dr. Paint metallic paint pens, which we used in the last part of this restoration series. I want to thank Adam Mann from Yojo Outlet and Museum Center for being instrumental and providing this bottle of Salon 40 or Clairol 40 peroxide cream, which is what I ended up using to de-yellow the R2 body. And he also gave me the technique and the timing for doing that. Yojo Outlet, as you know, has always been a friend of this channel, and I can't thank them enough for their help in this restoration as well. I want to thank Benjamin Elgar for taking the time out of his day a year and a half ago, whenever it was, to do all those different tests on all the other vintage R2-D2s to try and find the right solution. And then I want to thank you guys for your patience in waiting for these videos to come out to get this R2 done. This is really an important project for me. I know I've said that before already in this video, but I didn't want to get this wrong, and I didn't want it to be subpar. I wanted this to be quality. So I'm going to show you the R2 now. This is the end result. First I'll show you what it looked like before. And now here is the result. How we did it, and I talked a little bit about this in the previous video. The first thing we had to do was get the chroming right, and it involved two processes unexpectedly. We settled on, William and I, with Benjamin Consulting, we settled on sending it to a professional vac metallizer to have it re-vac metallized. When it came back, it appeared that because the R2 had been played with, for a long time, the plastic that was underneath the chrome originally had probably gotten scuffed and scratched and that kind of stuff, even though I prepped it before we sent it to the service. So when it came back very robustly chromed, but you could see the roughness underneath that was on the plastic even more because the chrome highlighted it and threw that light all around. So I talked to Dave at Toy Polloi, and he said, you should use a Molotow pen over that. And I said, I can do that? And he said, yeah, that's no problem. I said, great. So I put the Molotow over that, and it gave a beautiful result considering what the R2's condition was when I received it. Then afterwards, I used Kevin Sexton's technique with the Dr. Paint metallic paint pen and a small paintbrush, and put those panels back on. Now, just so you're aware, I talked to Chris Smith, who has been making amazing repros of the R2-D2 pop-up lightsaber figure, and asked him how those blue panels were getting on his reproductions. And he had told me it was an electroplating process, because I was trying to make sure that I was doing everything as factory as I could with the head. And when I realized it was an electroplating process, I was like, well, there's no way I can do that. And Kevin told me that that was the next best thing. So I followed his instructions to the letter, and I think the result is spectacular. After that, I decided to work on the body, and we tried Jody's recommendation of using the hydrogen peroxide vapors. Unfortunately, because of our sun conditions here in Atlanta, I guess there just wasn't enough sunlight or time. There's been a ton of rain here lately. So we went with Adam's suggestion, Adam from Yojo Outlet, with the Clairol 40 peroxide cream. We put the cream over the parts, the two legs and the barrel body, and then we wrapped that in saran wrap and put it in a clear plastic container so that it wouldn't, dry out or get blown away or whatever while it was sitting out on our deck getting sunlight. And we left it out there for about 4.5, 5 hours, kept checking it, turning the parts, making sure the sun was able to get to all the different corners of the parts. The result was great. I mean, it was instantaneous, and we didn't leave the parts in there so long that they lost their plastic luster or anything like that. And surprisingly, it didn't affect the paint stripes on R2's legs either, which is an important point because that was the paint work that I wanted to make sure stayed original to William's original childhood R2. I decided not to modify that paint because that would be the indicator that this was his original childhood R2-D2. Then I had to deal with the broken leg, and I used Dave's method at Toy Polloi exactly to fix the broken leg. I cut down a very small screw, and then I screwed that into the leg where the missing join was. Then I wrapped that in sort of a Teflon plumber's tape for threads, like thread tape, and then I put that back on the R2, and using a high-quality reproduction die-cut sticker from the same people that I used for the R5-D4 restoration, I'd kept the blue R2-D2 sticker this whole time. I didn't know I was going to use it on Williams, but I just had it in my back pocket, so to speak. And today was the day, and so we put it on Williams' R2-D2. So this restoration and the R5-D4 restoration share a kind of link. I put the sticker on, made sure it was straight. I put the R2-D2 head back on, screwed it all together, and this is the result. And I couldn't be more pleased given where we were. everything possible that could have been wrong with this R2-D2 was wrong with it. And the results that we've gotten are truly durable results. So, for example, we have a Molotow layer of high luster chrome that was cured for months without being touched. You know, Dave at Toy Polloi recommends at least 2 weeks, a month if you can. Well, we left it in the case for 3 months and didn't touch it. And it is now very, very durable. And underneath that layer of Molotow chrome is the factory vac metallization that was put on there originally by the service that we sent it to. So I have no doubt in my mind that the dome on this R2-D2 is as durable for handling as it was back when we were kids. I mean, I can say that with 99% certainty, and I'm really proud of that. As far as the other repairs, it's just a matter of having a steady hand with the blue paint and then being very, very methodical with, you know, screwing the screw in properly on the leg and getting it wrapped and then getting it all put back together like you've seen with the R5-D4. I couldn't be more pleased with the result, and I'm really, really grateful, and I don't mean this the way it sounds, I'm really grateful this restoration is over, because it was keeping me up at night. I mean, it really was for a long time. There were more than a few times where I thought, God, I don't even want to do the next step, because if I screw it up, I've screwed everything up. I took a look at the blue panels for a long time and agonized over those, touched them up in a few places, watched how the paint dried. I'm really happy with the end result. And we're going to get this sent back to William as soon as we know that it's possible now to send things back to another country. I got to check and make sure that our mail will be accepted by the UK right now. But yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled. I hope that William is happy with the result. I hope when he gets it back that he's able to put it in a place of honor in his collection. One thing I will say that I couldn't quite correct for, and it's another little quirk that becomes part of William's R2-D2 from his childhood. The leg that wasn't broken was warped, and I used heat and C-clamps and everything to try and get it to reset, and it reset a little bit, but not quite 100%. So his R2-D2 kind of loves to have one leg out just a little bit. There's nothing wrong with the leg. It's just clearly during playtime, his R2-D2 eventually got, you know, the leg pulled or something. And so his R2 kind of has a unique stance because of that. But it is a lot better than it was when I received it. So I'll call that a win as well. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this restoration series. I know it's been long. I'm going to be finishing up the Defiant real soon. And I'm also working on a original Voltron die-cast Black Lion. So you'll be seeing a repair video of that very soon as well. So thanks for enduring this restoration, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.